To start, I want to do a little bit of a recap on where we're kind of at with AML Solutions. So, about a month ago, obviously, they came out a little over a month ago now. Lots of uncertainty. Everyone kind of threw their solutions out there, their tech solutions out there. And if you haven't seen the AML Deep Dive podcast, go check it out. It's probably 3 or 4 episodes ago. It's a really in depth one that goes through all the different platforms and what they do. So here we are a month later, and I just want to have a little bit of a commentary on what we're seeing in the market now that it's out there, it's in the wild. What are we actually seeing on the ground with brokers? And I have two, maybe three stories I can share with you of kind of really interesting things happening. So, first off, hearing from a brokerage, a pretty big brokerage that does pretty big volume, they're looking to actually switch platforms. So, this is at the brokerage level. This isn't just some agent, but it's a brokerage probably doing well over $100 million worth of funding going from platform A to platform B. And the reason that they're doing it is because in platform B, the services associated with AML are completely free, whereas in platform A, the one they've been using for I think quite a few years now, I think it charges about $5 a file to do some of those AML things. So just to zoom all the way out, it's really interesting to see, first of all, that $5 worth of friction is enough for people to switch a whole platform. Now, probably there was other things going on there, but still that was maybe the straw that broke the camel's back. So maybe we'll see more of that in terms of, okay, there's, these different factors and different things at play with these different platforms in AML, which might kind of tip the scales for certain brokerages in decisions that they make. So that's on one side, on the brokerage side, but I also want to discuss on the tech platform side. So if I'm platform A and I have a brokerage that did $100 million, that's about annually, let's say. And so we've done a full episode on how these deal submission platforms make money. So I won't go too deep into it, but the punchline is that it's all really volume based. So if someone's doing $100 million, you earn about 5 bips on that as a submission platform. And so what does that work out to? I think it's about $50,000 a year that you are making on that platform. So it's a really interesting thing. And, maybe these platforms will learn from it very quickly, where it's like, hey, for $5 a file, I'm charging, but I'm losing on the back end, $50,000 a year. Hopefully this brokerage isn't doing 10,000 deals a year. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But that's a huge, huge number, right? And so I think it just is an interesting strategy and an interesting dynamic at play. It's always been this case where these deal submission platforms, they really just make money on people using it and submitting through it. And so they have all the incentive in the world to, on the front end and some of these other services, making them free, making it easier to use. So it's just another dynamic at play. And I would guess that maybe some of these platforms that we're charging for these services are going to learn really quick. I think, you don't need too many of these $50,000 events to go down for you to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't be, I don't want to say nickel and diming because there is a cost associated with some of these AML services, but for lack of a better word, yeah, nickel and diming the broker $5 a file. Hey, I'll just make that on the back end and I'll just eat that cost. I think that's going to happen. Yes. But then the further downstream thing of that then is these deal submission platforms then become less profitable. And so this goes back to, again, that regulation inflation concept I talked about a couple of weeks ago, and it's popping up in different places now. So again, the cost to do a file just went up, cost incurred by the agent, more stuff that they got to do per file, higher costs for the broker owner because, again, they have to do more stuff in terms of compliance. But now we're actually seeing higher costs for those deal submission platforms. So across the board, people are seeing more and more costs, and it's just interesting to see. Another quick example, I'll just say switching platforms, but at the agent level. This is very much so what I predicted. One person I talked to this week said, hey, I'm switching over from Filogix to Velocity simply because my brokerage is using Velocity. And to do these AML things that I need to do, Velocity is the best place to do it. And so without making a comment on Filogix versus Velocity, if you want to see that commentary, go see that previous episode. But it's just interesting to see that, for years and years, there's been a lot of pressure for people to make that switch, especially in the DLC group. But this is the one, again, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So it's just interesting to see, and it's just creating kind of this turbulence in the space of deal submission platforms and their usage. And I think it's an interesting thing because really at the end of the day, what I think is going on for a lot of brokers and broker owners is it's just a lot of uncertainty. I think ultimately that's kind of what's driving some of these moves. I don't think the regulation is super clear. Even now, I don't think it's that clear. And so, for the absence of clarity, people are just trying to cling to something that seems certain, at least, or at least hedge their bets by going to a platform that, their brokerage approves, or yeah, is not going to incur so many costs along the way. And so it's kind of this another downstream effect of this uncertainty is that it's creating a lot of people to do these behaviors, just trying to find safe behaviors or behaviors that they can, hedge themselves against because no one really knows what's going on with this AML thing. And I think we're not going to find out for at least a couple months, if not years. We get a full picture, full super clear picture of exactly what's involved in this.